What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to another Visi Inks video. If you haven't checked out the last video, it's important for you to go check that out because I talk about how I'm now live streaming. I'm going to be going live on TikTok, live on Twitch, and YouTube. So if you haven't, go check that out because all the links to everything is in the description box in the bottom of that video. In this video here, I'm going to be going over with you guys how to properly stencil out your tattoos. As I always do, we're going to do it with the paper route first. So we're going to do the pen to paper, and then if you have an iPad with Procreate, I'll show you how to do that. And if you don't have access to Procreate, I'm going to show you another cool program that I just figured out and discovered a couple days ago that is really useful and helpful. So with that being said, we're going to just dive into the video and get started. Make sure that if you have not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and that bell notification so that you do not miss an upload, because I'm coming out with bangers. So the materials that you're going to need for this video, very calm, very basic, very simple. It is very important if you do have access to a printer, because that's where the pen to paper stenciling is going to come from. But if you don't have a printer, I feel like I don't know, you really need a printer for this one. I don't think there's any alternatives unless you try to freehand draw it. That's the only other thing I could think of. But for this example that I'm showing, I think it's best that you do have a printer and to understand what we're doing. But if you don't have a printer, it's more than okay. You can still just follow along and watch the video, and whenever you do have access to a printer, you're able to go back to this video and watch it again and do the same things that we're doing here. So that's for the pen to paper, and the second part is an iPad, preferably an iPad because I have an iPad, and also an Apple Pencil. If you don't have an Apple Pencil, there are plenty of alternatives on Amazon that are not as expensive as Apple. But even if you don't have a stylus, Apple Pencil, or one from Amazon, a cheaper one, you always use your finger. This does wonders. It's very easy, very inexpensive. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get started. The first one that we'll do, that's the pen to paper, will be something small and simple, something with different values, so I can show you how to use that. And then the second half with the iPad, we'll use a portrait of something so that you understand how to do that as well. So without further ado, we're gonna dive right in and get started. You can use whatever photo or image that you want to do. You don't have to use the design or image that I'm choosing to use. You can use whatever you want, as long as you're using the same fundamentals and the same techniques that I'm showing you in the video. That's all that really matters. Make sure you grab your materials, and then we're gonna get started. Oh, also, this is gonna be the overhead shots, so you'll see me now, see me at the end, and then majority of the video is gonna be the overhead shots. So I'll see you again at the end of the video. All right, guys, so I have the paper here. This is going to be our first image that we're going to use as a reference. And you can see clearly here that it's a variety of different values here. So we have our darkest points here, which is the black. We have like our second darkest points over here, which is like that dark gray. And then we have our white, which is like we have highlight areas here. So I'm going to show you how I would stencil this, right? And there's a few different methods to it. For here, I'm going to use a blue pen, by the way, just so you can see a little bit better on top of the original. Usually I start with my solid lines first, so we're going to start with the darkest tones. That's going to be that solid outline. So this would be considered a dark point. So now I'm going to look around on the picture and look for more dark points, such as this. So around here, over here, you want to make sure you're taking your time with this, because this is the most important part to the tattoo. So if you rush a stencil, the end results of it when you transfer it to the skin is going to look rushed, and it might not be as clear and concise as you need it to be. So just taking your time and making sure that you're getting every detail possible is very, very essential. Okay, so we outlined all the dark areas. So now I'm gonna show you for the lighter areas what we do. So usually what I would do with these, I won't leave a harsh line because sometimes it's hard to blend that out on skin. So what I'm gonna do here for these light to light tones, I'm just gonna use little dashes. And for me, this would indicate a highlight area. And the same thing around here. There's a small little highlighted area. And where you see it starts to get a little darker, you use like longer strides for the lines. Just because you know it's like a darker part. And once you work your way up to the lighter parts, you can use smaller dots or dashes. So for this, since it's a line, I usually just kind of lightly trace it. I won't do it as hard. Just because I know it's not really a transitional like these. It's just a dark area on top of a lighter highlighted area. This is generally all it takes. So depending on your preference and what you would prefer to do in terms of kind of lining out and mapping out your guidelines for your tattoo, the main thing to remember is that for darker areas, it's easier to use like harsher lines. For the lighter areas, maybe thinner lines. And then for your highlighted areas, for your light areas, I would say dashes are good to use, because when it reflects on the skin, it's all about blending and making sure you don't have any harsh lines left over. So this is pretty much all it is when it comes to mapping out. You're looking for your highlights, your mid-tones, and your dark tones, and you just want to find different ways to separate the tones, so it makes it easier for you to transfer that to your clients so that you have a better guide and map of how you want to shade your image. So the next part of this is going to be doing it on the iPad. Okay, so I have iPad here and have Procreate open. You're gonna click the tool icon here and we're gonna click insert a photo. All right, so I imported this image. I'm gonna resize it big enough so that I'm able to see it. I'm gonna click that plus sign there, and then there's a couple of ways that you can kind of pre-stencil this without having to trace like the highlights. So one way is by clicking this box over here, the layers, and then we're gonna duplicate and swipe to the right, click duplicate. Once you duplicate that layer, you're gonna click the N, and then we're gonna go all the way down to where it says divide. We're gonna come over here to the wand image and we're gonna click Gaussian blur. So when you click the Gaussian blur, we're gonna drag this a little bit, about, well, you want enough where you can see the lines. I feel like there's good. We have majority of your stuff already kind of stenciled out for us here. The face, the hair, that's one way to do it. Another way to do this, there's an app called Tatt Stencil. Click the plus sign over here, right? You're gonna choose photo. So we chose the photo, this is perfect, good. You're gonna click the check mark, and then this is what it's gonna produce. So you have 3 different options here. You have sharpness, which is how sharp the image, the quality will be. Then we have intensity, which is how intense you want, I guess, the blacks to show up, right? And then you have your contrast, which is really your black point. That's another way to get a quick stencil in And then once you have the stencil, you print it out and you use the tattoo printer to transfer this to the transfer paper, and that's another way you can do that. So I'm gonna go back to Procreate. So when you have this image here, you're gonna come back into your layers. You're gonna create another layer. This one is gonna be the outline. You wanna make sure that this is highlighted and not this one, because anything you do on that you think is here, it's not gonna show up. So you're gonna make sure this is highlighted, and we can rename this to outline. And what you want to do is you want to get a bright color. So you can do green, you could do a bright blue or a bright red, pink, anything with like a really nice bright highlight to it, right? So let's say we go with green, right? Now let's say you don't have the Apple Pencil. With your finger, what you want to do is you're going to zoom in and you're going to do the same concept. So with the finger is a little bit tricky, but you want to try your best. So you're going to highlight with your finger the dark points with the solid line. I ain't gonna lie, the finger's a little bit difficult, but it'll get the job done. So you're using the same concept as what we did in the pen and paper design, right? So when we zoom out, this is what it'll look like, right? And essentially what you're gonna do, when you click this layer off, you'll start to see your stencil here. So I'm gonna do this again, and I'm gonna use the Apple Pencil. Using an Apple Pencil or any type of stylus with a point is easier because you can get really precise like details that the finger may miss or you may not be able to see with the finger. So if you could afford it, I would definitely say make that investment and go ahead and get you the pencil. And like we said before, there are like cheaper alternatives on Amazon. Remember, you're looking for your midtones, your highlights, and your dark tones, so you know how to separate them. Now, let's say all of this is done and you finish stenciling it out. What you're gonna do is hide this layer, and with this outline, you're gonna come to the wand again. You're gonna click curves, and this is what you're gonna use to get the dark like stencil, basically, right? So even though it was green before, this is needed and necessary because your tattoo printer transfer machine needs to be able to read any type of dark points. And then even here, like that's why you don't normally use black with these, because if I zoom in, you can't even see the outlines that we previously did, right? So it's important to make sure that you have a light color. It could be pink, it could be green, it could be blue, it could be red, purple, as long as it's a bright color so you can see it visibly here. And then when you're done, turn that off, and then you'll darken it after. Okay, so those are the key methods that is necessary in order to get your tattoo stencil and make sure that it comes out the best way that it can. Okay guys, so I hope that you enjoyed everything that you've seen in the video. I hope that you gain as much knowledge as possible because I gave out a lot of information in this video. Make sure that if you are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button and turn on that bell notification so that you're not missing an upload. Make sure you're checking out the previous videos that are related to the tattooing because they all relate to each other, which is the basic line work. Then I also went over the shading techniques. I just want you guys to know that you have those videos to reference. This channel is going to be a mixture of a little bit of everything, but it's the main purpose for this channel is tattoos. So you might get a vlog, you might get background information about certain things, you might get a couple of lessons, you might get some behind the scenes. Just expect to see a variety of different things from this channel. With that being said, if you enjoyed everything that you've seen in this video, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. And if you are looking forward to the next video, comment that down below. You feel me? Also, what you can leave in the comments is any questions, any video ideas, anything that you want to see coming from me, or in the future. Please stay tuned because that tattoo studio is going to be getting done soon, so look forward to that video. I haven't been able to really put my all into that and work towards the studio and building it because it costs money and I had a lot of responsibilities to take care of. So getting the rest of the stuff for the studio wasn't a big priority, but I still have my necessities that I need in order to tattoo if I do have a client come in, you know what I mean? So it's just learning how to prioritize different things. If you're looking to book, there are 3 different ways to book, which is also linked and posted on my Instagram, so make sure you follow the Instagram to see those different ways to book. Make sure you tune in to all social media because I will be going live often and I want you guys to be on the lookout for that. So without further ado, I will catch you on the next video. Out here.